Hello, and this is a book review. Some interesting ideas I found in this book, Contagious, Why Things Catch On. I'll start with a review. Overall, I'll probably give this book between 3 to 4. I'll probably stick to 3. But I would probably give it 3.5. The reason is there is not much information, so there is some information, and I'll speak a little bit about what I learned and some interesting ideas I found in this book. But overall, there is not enough, and a few of the things he's talking about are not that great or already known. They're not that new and not that revolutionary in some way, so it's not the best, I would say. That's my overall. What I did learn from this book, and I'll speak a little bit about in the notes, is to have this idea of social currency. I think that's the most important thing. Maybe he emphasized it a lot, but that's what I think is the most important one, is social currency, which is the reason of why people are sharing information, which is the main contributor to why things catch on, why things become contagious. Let's start with the notes. So the first one is, if making something popular was all about advertising, then you could advertise broccoli. Which is I think it's a little funny too. So some people think, will say that to make something popular, if making something popular was all about advertising, so if you have enough money and it was all about advertisement, you could advertise broccoli and people will buy it. But this is not the way it works, and people will not buy it because of that. So there is something else. Next one is, word to mouth is responsible for between 20 to 50% of sales. So that's word to mouth, which people might think that it's not as valuable, but it's actually responsible for 20 to 50%, which is it's a big number. Online word. So we have online word to mouth is not as successful as in real world, since you spend much less time online. So we spend less time online, which means that it's not as effective. If you count how much time you actually spend in real time in talking to people, it's more than you spend online or social media. That's more applicable. Next one is, social currency refers to the phenomenon where we try to share what makes us look smarter. This is what I spoke a little bit before. So that's the social currency, and this is why that's one of the reasons we are sharing information, is to see or to show others that we are valuable. So it's some kind of a prestige. Well, I know something you don't, and that's kind of there is a different idea of something. I forgot what book was it, but this idea of a backpack. Show me what you have. So it's evolutionary. This is not what he's talking about, but this is evolutionary. This is valuable because the other side see, okay, he might be useful for me. In that way, the person that gives the idea or give the trick is actually feels good about himself, and that's why people sharing that information. Next, rewards programs make people want to achieve higher status, and when they do, they tell everyone. Free advertisement. So all those rewards program are actually free advertisement, and that's one of the reasons we see them everywhere. Like literally every store or most brands have one. Why it's so effective? One of the reasons it's so effective is that it helps people want to achieve higher status. Just even if you don't have anything, even if it's just points, people still want to achieve higher status. And when they do achieve that, they actually tell everyone, they call everyone, I actually achieved, look how great I am, and this and that. So it's, again, free advertisement. If a business keeps saying no, customers will go to other places. you need to say no, but try out a different time or something like that to entice them to keep trying. So just saying no, even if you don't have let's say it's a restaurant, if you don't have a spot, don't say no, say try to call later. So give them a reason to keep trying, because if not, they will just go other places. There's a lot of competition out there, so they might go somewhere else. Mars sales peaked due to NASA mission to Mars. So there's this candy Mars, and their sales peaked when NASA sent a little spacecraft or some kind of a robot to Mars. And they didn't understand exactly why, but after a little while they understood. So again, I don't remember exactly the reason of why, but one of the reasons I think he's speaking about in the book is that people just had this idea of Mars in the head. So maybe they went to the store and they saw Mars, they picked that one rather than, I don't know, sneakers, which is like some kind of, it's the equivalence. So or they thought about it. There could be many ideas, but it's interesting and funny. People are more likely to talk about not important things when there is a need to fill the conversation. I think it's interesting. So let's say I think it's a soccer game. So when there is like a little time to talk, people are more likely to talk about bullshit, about not important things, which is, for example, a time in which people can share information about something they bought. This is when it's a good time to use social currency. Even negative review can increase sales as people are curious to check what is it like. Bad review is better than no review. So even bad review, some books, I think they have so books with bad reviews sells better than books with good reviews. Some, of course, it's not across the spectrum, but in some cases it helps because people are actually, what is it all about? And I said, bad review is better than no review. If you have no reviews at all, you better have bad reviews. Of course, if you have a lot of bad reviews, let's say for a product, this is not a good idea, but there is the right zone in which it's okay. Arousal is what's important in order for people to share, rather than the emotion itself. Doesn't really matter, or if it's good or bad. As long as physical arousal exists, people are more likely to share. They found out what's important is physical arousal, not what emotion it invokes. So physical arousal, it's what's important. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So it could be a bad emotion, which if it still causes arousal, people are more likely to share. Of course, if it's good, that's more intuitive. But even if it's bad, it's all about arousal. The Say No to Drugs campaign actually increased the drugs among teenagers because it made drugs more public and normal. So they had this campaign against drugs, Don't Say No to Drugs campaign, especially aimed to teenagers. Now, it actually failed spectacularly. One of the reasons was because it made drugs more public and normal. So teenagers saw, a lot of people are using this. Maybe I should use it too. Not only that, it's also made it normal or more public. There's more people are thinking about it now, which they haven't thought about it before. Practical value is information that helps a person, which is similar to social currency. So this is the idea of practical value. This is information that helps a person specifically, help that person you're talking to specifically, which is that same idea of social currency, but this is like a better term to talk about it. The $100 rule: when a price is less than 100, use percentage to show discounts, but when it's above 100, use money instead of percentages. if you show a discount and you have $100, so there's this $100 rule, right? Because on bigger numbers, you want to have the actual number rather than percentages, because $200 off $600, it sounds very good, rather than give 20% or 30%. How much is it? Like 30, I think it's about 33%. Or a quarter, it doesn't matter. Even 25% doesn't sound as good as $200 off. So he has this $100 rule. So above 100, use money instead of percentages. On low, let's say it's $50, it's better to use percentages rather than the actual money you save, which is an interesting way to think about it. Valuable virality. That is important, as some advertisement only emphasize something that is unrelated to the product. So there is this idea of valuable virality, which is, I think he gives like an idea, some of someone who jump with a shirt of some casino in the Olympic pool or something like that. I don't remember the whole details, but the idea is that the casino itself didn't got a lot of much more money or more customers as a result, because people not spoke about the casino. They just spoke about if it's good or bad, or have you heard what he was doing, but not about your product. So there's this idea again of a valuable virality. So you have to be related to the product and not just in general. So just having a very viral video just because the video is viral and there is something crazy about it doesn't make your product more prevalent, because people are not necessarily connecting the two, the crazy video to your product. And there's the last one here. Virality is like forest fire. The size of the spark does not predict the size of the fire. So even if there is a spark, you don't know how big will it get. So you can't predict based on what you have how big the product will be, same as the fire. It's really hard to know in advance how will it be like. So that is it for notes. So again, probably around 3.5, or if I have to go 1 to 5, it will be 3 stars, because there is not great information, but there is some valuable information. It's not a 4, so probably again a 3. All right, that's pretty much it. Adios.